and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jennifer Ziprian. I am from Texas A&M University, Kingsville. Today we are going to be talking about student involvement, and not only at the high school level, but at the college level as well. And with me as well, we will have Ms. Christina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Dominguez. I am one of the Texas regional recruiters for the University of Arizona. I am housed and based in Houston, but cover the South Texas Valley. As Jennifer mentioned, we have quite a bit of information for you today. So we hope you gather what you are looking for. And most excitingly, or what I'm most excited about, is the student panel that we have for current students. So promise this will be short and sweet, and we'll get to all your questions. If you have any in the chat, our moderators will be assisting with that. So let's talk about benefits of high school involvement. So before we dive in, let's define what student involvement is. So most students may be familiar with the term extracurricular activities. And that is the pursuit of happiness. No, I'm just kidding. That's a movie. It's the pursuit of activities in addition to normal course of study. So on top of the courses you are taking in high school, things outside of the classroom. So that requires consistent time commitment, a degree of responsibility and initiative, and in the best case scenario, some level of leadership. All that means is the world of student involvement is truly limitless. So no matter what your strengths or interests are, high schools usually offer a variety of clubs and organizations to choose from. So let's take a step back. So I said we dove in, now we're taking a step back. And before you think more is better, your involvement as a student in these activities needs to illustrate authenticity, all right, and dedication, which leads to my first bulletin. I barely got to my first bulletin, but I am there. Your involvement in high school needs to showcase who you are. And as a future college applicant, what you have to offer as a student if you were to gain admissions to the university. But wait, there's more. So when you participate in multiple activities, you will get the opportunity to explore a range of interests and unlock passions that you never knew you had. So this newly found passion not only improves your likelihood of success in your school or community organization, but achieving success will improve your self-confidence, which everybody loves confidence, as you learn and acquire new skills. So let's give a hypothetical situation. So consider a high school senior agrees to organize a homecoming dance. She must manage her time wisely, also known as a fancy word, time management, while attending to her school assignments, which, you guessed it, self-discipline, as she oversees this high-profile event for her student body. Meanwhile, she also must recruit team members to help her execute this plan, which makes me see demonstrated leadership skills. So in this statement, she must clearly communicate and address problems. So that shows teamwork, again, going back to leadership. So even though she's taken on this enormous task, this experience forces her to grow in often unexpected ways. So high school clubs and organizations provide valuable lessons and skills for practical life situations, like teamwork. And everybody knows the saying, teamwork makes the dream work. So working with others provides you with those key life skills. The biggest takeaway, if you take anything away from this slide specifically, is student involvement demonstrates who you are outside of the classroom. Students must do more than just going to school. And it provides you with an opportunity to highlight and showcase your talents, interests, and leadership skills while building on your self-discipline, confidence, and motivation. So Jennifer is going to briefly discuss the benefits of student involvement in college.
Thank you. So getting involved in college, there's a lot that can benefit you. So one of the first things is definitely helps you build your resume. So when you go to school, you find the school that you want to go to. When you graduate, you're not only going to graduate with your degree, but you're going to graduate with a resume of experiences that will help you find a job after you graduate and help you with your graduate applications. So getting involved is really important because you're building your resume, and you really want to know that your employers and future graduate schools want to know, well, you went to class, great, but what else did you do? What experiences did you have on campus? So building your resume. And then second, building off from what you've done in high school, you get to strengthen your leadership skills. So communication, teamwork, problem solving, these are all transferable skills. So let's say you join a student organization on campus, and you want to, be an officer. Well, you're going to have to talk to your organization. So that's communication. You're going to have to work together to plan events. That's teamwork, and problem solving as well. And all of these skills are skills that you can transfer when you apply for a job. So when you're applying for a job or you're applying for grad school, you can say, well, in my organization, I did communication, teamwork, problem solving, all of these. They're going to say, well, you know what? That's what we need here as well. So being involved, you get to strengthen your leadership skills and those transferable skills. Another thing is you get to create connections and networks, right? I've always said, every day is an interview. So being involved on campus, maybe you are part of a student organization and you go host an event. And at the place that you host an event, you meet an individual who later on ends up being someone who you're going to interview with. You just made a connection earlier on that, gets to transfer over. And then in the future, maybe they're your boss, or maybe they can refer you to someone who is hiring or has positions available. So creating those connections and networks is really another benefit of getting involved in college. Your professors, they're going to be there to kind of help you figure out what the next steps are after graduation. So when you create those connections and network with them, they're going to show you a whole world of job opportunities and graduate schools that you probably didn't even know existed before that. And one of the last things of getting involved in college is you get to discover new interests. Every student goes into college thinking, okay, this is what I want to do. Once you get there, you're going to start getting involved and you're going to start doing other things. And you may say, you know what? I think my interests change. I think instead of doing this, I want to go do this. When I started school, I wanted to be a nurse and be in the medical field. And then I got involved with organizations on campus and leadership on campus. And I realized, you know what? I really liked helping students and education instead of doing nursing. So I changed my major, and that's completely okay. But getting involved in college, you get to discover, hey, you know what? You're passionate about something that you probably didn't even know you were passionate about before. And so all of these are great ways and great benefits of getting involved in college. Christina?
For those that are just joining us, we are going to move on to our student panel, which we are super excited to do. Because we have limited time constraints and we want to ask our students a wealth of questions. I know I do, so just be prepared for that. But we will not go student by student to formally introduce themselves. Instead, we have provided snippets of information for each student. That includes the university they're attending, their major, which is super fun, like Jennifer said, you might not always you might know going into college what you're interested in, but those interests change and their hometown. So Jennifer also too, for those that kind of join in later in the session, will be putting the question we pose to the panel in the chat for whatever reason. If you're like, I can't understand a word you're saying, Christina, or I might stumble upon my words, Jennifer is going to put that question directly in the chat. And because of these time constraints, we are not going to be addressing questions from the chat to pose to our current student panel. We have written questions that they have no idea what they are, but Jennifer and I do. So I hope you enjoy these questions as much as we do. Without further ado, let's get started. Drum roll. We don't know who's going first.
Ask me a question.
Perfect. Okay, so first question is, why is it important to get involved your first year at university? And because of limited time constraints, we are going to base this question and focus this question on Sally and David.
Okay, awesome. So I can go ahead and start on why it's important to get involved your first year. Attending a large university, I know U of H is like the third largest university in Texas. It was really overwhelming. I was a first generation student, so I came from the Valley. I had no idea like what to expect. I didn't have family in Houston, so I had absolutely nobody there to like get to know. So I really had to put myself out there. And I think the easiest way to like get out your comfort zone and meet new people is through student organizations, because you get to meet people who are like-minded with you, have similar interests with you, and like connect with them in a deeper level. And that's how I got to meet like some of my lifelong friends by student organizations, and you get just to connect with them and also be able to like experience like different cultures as well. I know the University of Houston is the most diverse, one of the most diverse universities in the nation. So I got to meet people from like, India, different like international countries. And I definitely think you'll be able to like expand your mind and meet like new people and feel like find your place in the university as well, because that can be like really overwhelming. But just having people who are like-minded as you, have similar interests with you, can really help you find your place and feel welcome into your university.
Oh, hello. So I'm in Kingsville, which isn't as big as University of Houston. It's kind of underwhelming, in fact. But my first year, I'm a music major, so I kind of just stuck with music, and I didn't really go outside of the music zone. So, but most of my high school friends are here, so it's kind of like the same thing. I was just in the same cliques, met music majors and all that. But well, this past semester, I started working at the rec, joined the powerlifting team, and I've made so many new friends, met so many new people, found some like lifelong hobbies. So I think it's really important to start way earlier than I did, because you'll have a lot more experience trying new things. Like I didn't know I would love powerlifting this much, and it's just so much fun. I'd probably, if I started earlier, I'd probably like debate changing my major to kinesiology or something, but I'm kind of stuck in music, which I love. But yeah, just trying new things, meeting new people. It's a great experience.
Perfect. Thank you, Sally and David. I think the biggest highlight that I took away from both of your statements and advice was Sally went to this big university and it felt overwhelming. And then David had the opposite experience of, I went to maybe a smaller university, but you still have to deal with that transition from going to high school and college, and that level of expectation changes when it comes to your work assignments and really putting yourself out there. I know Sally mentioned that you're around like-minded people, but getting involved, you're also around a group of diverse people that may have different opinions with you. So lots of benefits with that. We will move on to the second question. And this is going to be, how do I know what to get involved in? So this will go to Judith and Sally.
So for me at UT, we have this event basically
we have this main street called Speedway, and on Speedway, all of the student orgs sit down and they table. And so they basically provide lots of information to students. And basically, if you're just walking down the street, they'll just hand you flyers. And that's how I learned about the different student orgs that we have on campus. But I'm specifically involved in one that pertains to my major. So I'm the co-president for NSHLA, which is National Student Speech Language Hearing Association. And it allows me to connect more with professionals who are speech language pathologists, and also lets me get to know more about my field. And so since we do have so many student orgs and UT is considered a larger university, we have specific resources. And so we use this website called HornsLink, which allows students to look up different orgs. And so basically you can either just like find an org naturally by just walking down Speedway and finding, attending an information session, or they're also like within the colleges that your major is housed in, they'll provide like more information about that since it's more specific to your career. But we do have lots of different student orgs, and so it kind of just depends if you want to stick with it or if you want to find something else.
Awesome. So with University of Houston, during your first year of college, which is your freshman year, we have this event really early on in the beginning of the semester. It's known as CACSBAC, and it's basically where all the student organizations have like their own tables. It's just like a big event. It's hosted on our campus rec. And so this is a way of like first year students to like literally see, it's kind of like a museum exhibit in that sense, where you see all the student organizations, what they're about. And so that's how I got to know about the Pre-Pharmacy Association, since I was interested in pharmacy school. And then also another way that you can get involved is through your college. So like for me, I'm a part of the College of Natural Sciences Mathematics. So each university has a specific college where your major is in. And so you can get involved through there. And so I was able to be a student leader through that college, and maybe also getting involved like through an on-campus job. I serve as a UH ambassador through the office admissions, and so I get to advocate the university that I love, just guiding prospective students on the opportunities that they can receive here. And also with U of H, on your like student portal, we have a little tab that says get involved, and so it's all about the student organizations that we have on campus. So definitely attending like those events on campus can be a great way to get involved. You'll have flyers, and just different ways you'll be seeing all over the university that you're attending about ways to get involved.
Perfect, thank you. And I think we may have used different words, but all in the same, it seems like most universities have a portal for you to utilize to search student organizations within your specific university. Sally being from the University of Houston and Judith being in Austin, both different universities have some form of event or exhibit, if you will, that showcased all of the organizations that may be present at that university. So highly recommend when you are doing your research for universities to look at that student involvement. I think that's a key component when we look at, well, how is that going to take me to my next step in my next career? So third question is going to be, is there such a thing as too much involvement? And will that affect my studies? Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to go with Sochil and David for this question.
All right, hi guys. Well, I think it just depends on the person. You have to know what you can handle. I know college is a different experience, like from high school and moving from there. But for me, I was always, excuse me, sorry, I'm outside with my family. But no, for me, I was always a joiner, and I always joined different things, and I kept my grades up through school. So I knew what I could handle, and I never really overdid myself. But there was a time where I did feel like I was getting overwhelmed with all the organizations that I did join. I just had to learn how to time manage myself a lot better. as I went along in college. So it's just learning what you can handle and what you can't and growing. And I actually think it's best. Like I'm a part of a lot of organizations at my campus, and I've met so many different people through there, and I've learned how to be a better person with those interactions. So yeah, I don't think so, but again, it's up to y'all.
So chill. Before we move on to David, can you give an example of how many student organizations you're involved in and how much time commitment that kind of takes per organization?
Yes, so I'm actually a part of 4 different organizations on campus. I am part of Kappa Delta Pi, which is an honor society for education majors that's on my campus. I am also a sister of Kappa Delta Chi Sorority Incorporated, and I'm the academic officer, expansion chair, and so many other roles this semester. So it's like I'm having to spare a lot of time for that. I'm also a part of the National Honor Society as well in our campus. And I am also part of the HERD, which is a student organization. And it's basically like we show school spirit and we go out into the actual games and like scream and show our support for our guys and our girls at baseball games, at basketball games. So it's like having to go to meetings all the time and then corresponding your classes, corresponding your schoolwork. And not only that, if you end up working through college, corresponding all that. It's a lot of time management, but actually understanding, okay, this is what I have this day, this is what I have at this time, and managing it is the most important thing.
My turn? Okay. Well, I completely agree with what she said. Time management is like one of the most important things most important skill you can have in college. And it also depends on your knowing yourself. Because me personally, I would not be able to handle many or being involved in many organizations. My time management skills are not that good. I need to work on it. But I know people that are president of like 3 different clubs and are in charge of Greek life, and they still manage to have a 4.0 GPA. So it's kind of crazy how like stressed they are though. And like I'm like, hey, you want to hang? And they're like, no, I can't. I have to do this. I'm like, oh, sorry. So yeah, it's just honestly personal knowing yourself and how well you can manage time and like what you can be part of, like the powerlifting team. I'm a building manager at the rec, marching band, pep band, and I'm barely struggling to survive that. So anymore, and I'd be not doing well. But yeah, just work on your time management, like she said, and that's like one of the best skills you can learn to have in college.
Thank you, David. And the format, the reason every student is not answering the same question is it kind of feels like we receive similar responses. And so know that even Sochil and David, they had mentioned it's really dependent on that individual. And David, when you said, I'm not good at time management, I laughed at you because I was laughing at myself. I'm like, I'm definitely not good at time management. So know what you feel comfortable with when it comes to pursuing your major and pursuing clubs and organizations, because putting too much on your plate can be burdensome, can be overwhelming. And it goes back to that presentation when we talked, is more really better? And it doesn't have to be a student club or organization that's focused on academics. Sally had mentioned she was an ambassador. So she was like, I'm in like 3 honor societies. So that has to deal with like rigorous academics and high GPA. But David was, and Sochil and David were like, we go to football games and this and that, and we cheer on people, and it's a club and we love it. So you get the best of both worlds with getting involved. It doesn't have to solely be on academics. We are going to our next question, which Jennifer will put in the chat as well. How does getting involved help me with my future career? So how has it helped you in your pursuit of finishing your degree and moving to that next step? This question will be for Sochil and Judith, but if I really like the answers, I'm going to open it up to everyone.
Okay, for me, I can really only speak personally on how it's helped me with my personal major. I am studying to be a teacher. So with me, I have to get used to really communicating and getting involved with different types of people. And it really has helped me get out of my shell, because I used to be a little shy person who wouldn't talk. And, I stayed in my bubble. Everyone who knew me had to like break down that hard candy shell to get to my soft middle. But now, because I have to go and speak to people and talk about my clubs and how much I love them and how they might love them if they want to join, it's really helped me get out of that and realize, okay, I can go ahead and pursue a career that's mainly all talking and joining and being more involved, I guess, in conversations. So it has made me a better person and for my future career.
So for me, I am a Texas student recruiter, meaning we provide more information to prospective UT students. And so we do presentations like this and communicating. As you see on the board, I am a speech language and hearing science major. And so I plan to become a speech therapist in the future. And so communication is very important to my career. And so communicating within this job is pretty important. It's something that we do a lot of the time, either texting or calling. And then I'm also an undergraduate research assistant with one of my professors. And so we work with the Children's Language Literacy Learning Lab. And with that, I also gain skills because I'm working with children and I perform like assessments on the children. And so I basically assess their language. And that's of course important for my career since I do plan to work with children. And then for NISHLA, it's one of the student orgs that I mentioned earlier. Within that org, I do connect with other professionals and also communicate with the members. And so they also help me because like we get to network and like right now, some of us, or my friend who already graduated, she is also in my major. And so like we became good friends and now she's sharing like GRE study materials with me. And so like she's also giving me tips on like, oh, like if you're going to apply to this grad school, like you should do this. And so it's pretty important to like at least get involved in something. That way you can, like mentioned earlier, you can network, communicate, gain those skills and find a job or just make good relationships with others.
Judith, you really should handle this panel because you took the words right out of my mouth. Those were definitely key points of networking is so very important and will lead you so far. It is also very important what you know, but who you know and who you establish those connections with. And that communication, regardless of what job you have, you're going to have to communicate with others. It may not be in person, but having those soft skills or life skills are very, very important. And when we think about community involvement. Sally, do you have anything to add in regards to the question? If you don't remember the question, I promise it's how is getting involved helped me with my career?
Yeah, so it actually helped me a lot this year since I will be attending pharmacy school next fall. And so that's kind of like a graduate school. And so I got to be involved in the Pre-Pharmacy Association. And so basically they are the reason why I'm going into UH pharmacy school, because they provided professional workshops, basically kind of like admissions workshops on your PCAP, which is an admissions test, interview days of what you have to like interview with the Office of Admissions for like pharmacy schools. And I was actually able to like network with pharmacists in the industry. I was able to shadow a pharmacist, get those letter of recommendations so that you guys can be able to move on to the next step. So that was like a way for me to like, go into graduate school. Also, I just had a lot of like leadership experience with my College of Natural Sciences. So I was able to like branch out, get out of my comfort zone. I was able to like mentor freshman students on their first semester at college. So I was able to develop a lot of like communication skills through public speaking. I also do a lot of public speaking through presentations and tours through our UH ambassador office. And so I was able to just really develop myself into the person that I wanted to be. And I'm so like grateful for my experience and student involvement at U of H, because they're the reason why I'm able to move on to my dream of going into pharmacy school. So hopefully I'll continue, developing myself as a, future pharmacist, able to like interact and, treat patients. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So we have about 3 to 5 minutes before this session ends. So I'm going to leave the floor open to all of you, and we will start this question with David. This will be our last question. And it's more of like, what advice would you give the students that are currently in this session listening to you about your experience with student involvement, the benefits that you've gone so tremendously well into detail with? What advice can you give to our students, starting with David?
It's just kind of like it pertains to the last question, but just work hard in front of your peers, also in front of because your peers are watching and they'll remember you when they have a future job. Some of my friends, they're band directors now, and they're like, hey, you want to give lessons or you want to help with marching band? And it's just been a great experience, and they do watch. So if you're in class and you're kind of like slacking off and not doing the best you can do, everyone's watching, and you never know who's going to be having. You're never going to know who's going to have what job. One of your friends might be a boss, and they're going to know like, oh, he wasn't a hard worker, you're not the best student. What's going to say that's going to roll over to his the job work ethics. And yeah, like right now, someone told me like, hey, when you graduate, I have a job for you, and it's like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, so just be a good working student and get involved in many things. I also forgot, I'm part of Phi Mu Alpha, which is a music fraternity. And yeah, just all the connections I'm making, it's great. Yeah, just get involved.
I guess I'll go next. Don't be afraid to like join things that are out of your comfort zone. Just like David had mentioned, he's a part of a fraternity. I actually got out of my comfort zone and joined a sorority, Kappa Delta Chi, and it literally has been the best thing possible for me. And it's something that I thought back when I was a kid I would never be involved with, but it's pushed me to be better academically and to network and to be able to understand how different people interact in different scenarios. So just don't be afraid to get out there and like do different things that you feel are out of your comfort zone and your comfort range.
I would add that it's okay to ask for help. If you feel like you're struggling with something, you can always reach out to either like admissions advisors, or pretty much every other school has like an admissions program that helps students apply to colleges. Like for Sally, I think she mentioned an ambassador program. For UT, we have TSRs. But yeah, if you have any questions either about the admissions process or just like student life, you're always welcome to reach out to me and as well as the others.
Just to like reiterate what Judith said, because I definitely think, a lot of like interns, like freshmen have like a hard time asking for help. I know I did, but I think the best thing to like see or like kind of help you transition from high school to college is join like a mentorship program. I know my college of natural sciences and mathematics has like a mentorship program. Maybe your college might offer a mentorship program or just kind of like a general mentorship program in that sense, because if you're able to like kind of like connect with an upperclassman who has been there and who understands like all the struggles that comes with your major or just transitioning. I know I was a first generation student, and so I had a really hard time transitioning, especially like living away from home too. That was like another stress. So just having an upperclassman who was like there for me, mentored me, and like helped me smoothly transition into college and be successful as well, because I definitely think your first semester is a really hard semester. Just having that, upperclassmen right there in the first day can be really beneficial, and just be able to connect with them and just ask for help if you need it, because it's definitely going to help you in the long run.
Jennifer, do you want to touch base on this slide very quickly before we end this session?
Yes, so thank you to the student panel. These were the questions that we did ask the student panel, but there's still good questions to ask when you are looking for universities to apply for. Overall, you all want to know, how can you get involved at that university? And recruiters and university staff are also great resources to ask about getting involved and how getting involved can help your future career as well. And then I guess we'll go to the last slide. So if you guys, we just want to thank you all again. I think we're just out of time for joining us today for our student involvement for the panel. And if you want to contact with us, we have provided our information on the screen, our emails, and our universities as well. So thank you all again. And to the students that participated in the student panel, thank you guys so much for joining us. I really feel like your information was very valuable, and I hope the students really grasp what you all spoke about.